Hello, all my kings and queens. I'm saying hi. You're reporting live from the solar mine of China. Yeah, I think I like that. Hello, my kings and queens. I know I've been gone for seemed like forever. However, I had to get some things together as far as in my personal life, and it's all together now. So, welcome back to Sage Sunday, and we're on episode 7. And what I am talking about tonight would be polyamorous, kind of a tongue twister. And really more so of what I've been through dealing with poly people, and when I tried it, how was it for me? And will I continue to try it or continue to be monogamous? So before I get into that, let me break down what polyamorous means. Polyamorous basically means that a person who wants to involve themselves in more than a one-person relationship. Let me repeat that. Relationship. A lot of polyamorous people are looking to date for the long run, to be married. And then once they become married, it turns into polygamy, okay? And so this can be up to 3 people in a relationship, even more. I know you guys probably seen it before. I know, for example, Sister Wives is really a good example on TLC. I don't know if anyone ever saw it. The way they do it, whatever. But that is one way they do it. I know a lot of African countries, the husbands believed to have multiple wives. All of that, okay? So with that being said, I'm going to get into what I've been through. And if a lot of you who's listening to this know a little bit of the details of the last relationship I was in, I'm single now, and yeah, so and I'm going to explain kind of why. Okay, so that's what polyamorous means, and basically, here is my standpoint. Before I even get into that, I really want to stress that I am not knocking what works for you, for one. 2, if that's the route that you want to take, if that's the route that you feel like your faith is in, cool. Do you. However, I'm only speaking about me, how I feel about it, what I went through, and what I will be doing, continuing moving forward with my life and dealing with my relationships. Okay? So with me, the very first time I tried it, I'm a person, I'm kind of like a person, depending on what it is. Everybody got to try things at least one time. And me trying the poly life was one of them. Being a bisexual, I'm just like, hey, why not have both of the best worlds right then and there while you're dating? And the very first time I did try it, my boyfriend at the time wanted to do it. However, the way that he went about it was all wrong. His idea of trying it was more only on the sexual side. And that's the thing about being poly, the same way that you would treat a woman or a man in a relationship that you're loyal to and that you love and care about, it's the same way that you would treat multiple people in that relationship. A lot of people who claim that they want to be poly and don't understand or don't do their research, they are actually only doing it to benefit themselves in a sexual way. And my thing on that is, if that's the case, you might as well just do it, do a threesome and call it a day. Well, with that being said, it's like when a person only wants to have it that way for the wrong reasons, it will never work, okay? It will never work. The same hard hustle that you have to do and hard work that you have to put into a relationship, it's the same thing you have to do with multiple people. You just have to do that with multiple people. And a lot of people don't understand that, A lot of people don't realize that. And honestly, from what I experienced, it is a whole lot harder dealing with more than one person, okay? And being a loyal person and being a lovable person in a relationship, of course you're going to care about their feelings. Of course you're going to care about, if you make them happy or not, or if their day was bad, trying to cheer them up. All of that's in that, You have to do that times two, So that can become very, very hard. And honestly, poly life is not for the lighthearted. It's not for, like, that shit is hard. Honestly, it's hard. However, back to my story. So the first one, it was just on a more of a sexual note, and the girl really was more into like listening to what he wanted. And little did she know, it was like, okay, me and him in a relationship, you're just coming in. Okay, so, but it was no structure there. It was no teamwork there. It was nothing. So that didn't last very long. And so then I was like, whatever. Life passed. So coming down to the relationship that I was in for about 1.5 years, that was poly, okay? And I'm not going to say any names. However, that shit was toxic with a capital motherfucking T, okay? What I am going to say is, I was basically the new person. However, me and the guy was friends a year before, basically friends with benefits, a year before, like over a year actually, before we actually got serious over the COVID break, and then we actually got into the poly. Okay, so I'm like, okay, the person that he wanted to do it with, I didn't think was a good idea, just because they was in a relationship, and when me and him got serious, they was broken up. Okay, so when they was broken up, that's when me and him got serious. And then that's when we all was talking about the whole poly thing. Well, really mostly me and him. At the time, I agreed to it because I really loved him and I cared for him. However, deep down, I was just like, nope, this is not a good idea. At least not with the person you're trying to bring in, because y'all never resolved y'all relationship toxic issues, and none of y'all healed from that, And I basically damn near like begged him more than once, like maybe this is not a good idea. But he kept forcing it, and that was a red flag. And I was just like, being crazy. Be like, I care about him. Let me go ahead and move forward. So we end up doing that. And basically, everything, I ain't gonna lie. And that's one thing I can tell you guys. If you try this, I'm going to tell you now, you have to lose the jealousy. You have to lose the ego. You have to lose, and nothing is wrong with losing those things, But it's so many things that you're sharing a person that that two people love, that you're sharing that person. It makes you realize, shit, you can't be jealous in a poly relationship. It doesn't work like that. Was there jealousy in ours? Hell yeah. So fucking much. You can't be, all egotistic in that relationship, Was that in ours? Hell yeah. So fucking much. So this one was a little bit more structured. However, the guy, he was so more focused on, it was times that I felt like he knew what he was doing. And then there was also times that I felt like it was more of a manly ego thing that he had 2 women. At the same time, somehow we made that shit work for fucking over 1.5 years, close to 1.5 years. And the crazy thing about it is, like I said, they dealt with each other for many years, and not healing from that, or not trying to close those chapters before starting this. Honestly, it was bringing me into a negative state already from the jump. And I'm not saying I didn't have no faults in the relationship. However, you have to realize the person coming into something new. Okay, for example, that's like you and whoever you're with break up, right? Y'all spent so many years together. Y'all decide to get back together, but you guys do not communicate. You guys do not work on what was the issue in the very first place of why y'all broke up, when y'all was being monogamous. None of that. So y'all get back together, still not in 100% or even a good like 80-70% of better to get back together, and then y'all bring in a new person. You know how disastrous that is? Very, very disastrous. Very disastrous. And there's a lot of things that I wish that I would have spoke up on, but at the time I was like scared to say something because I'm feeling like, okay, if I say this, then this person gonna feel uncomfortable, or this person gonna feel uncomfortable, and then here we go, then we gotta all of that. Like, honestly, it was such a depressing relationship, and I'm not gonna, it just, the toxic outweighed the good, believe it or not. Like, it really did. Like, you had one side jealous because they felt like he was showing more attention to the other or giving his time more than anything. And it's just like, it shouldn't be that way, It really shouldn't be that way. However, I felt like the guy who, in the beginning, even when we met as friends, introduced himself as Polly. I never introduced myself as Polly. I'm still was trying it. Never said I knew everything about it. None of that. But my thing on that is, if you think you Polly and you think that, this is something that who you are and all it is, then you need to actually do your proper research on it. You actually need to do what you need to do properly, to make your relationship successful. And I do believe that him being the middle person, because he's technically the reason why he brought both of us together, that it was a lot of things that you should have stopped, or a lot of things you shouldn't have even started. And you knew that, and you kept it going anyway. And so, like I said, when you have that type of mind frame of like, okay, you're just going to keep things going, then it's like, okay, no matter what, pretty much, then it's like, okay, we headed, before we can even get to the super high part, we headed for disaster a long time ago. And then the crazy thing is, they arguing all the time in the house. If it wasn't every day, it was every other day. And the crazy part about it was the arguments was about shit in their old relationship. So, of course, me being the other person, I don't know how to mediate that because I wasn't never there. I don't know who's right, who's wrong, who's telling the truth, who's lying. That was stressful. That was depressing, And so it's just like, when it comes to things like that, it was just like, that our relationship should have been a big ass nope, y'all don't need to try that, And now I know that, and I don't regret anything, because this is a great life lesson. I always tell anybody who asks for my advice, if you've been through something traumatic, please pay attention to the lessons, so you don't make them same mistakes. So now I know that this isn't for me. Polly isn't for me. I'm a territorial person, pretty much. Like, if I care for you and I love you and all of this stuff, like, I'm not gonna want you, it's like certain things we will talk about or whatever. However, like, no, because at the same time, the guy, even though he had me and her, he's still on the down low, texting other girls and seeing other girls and basically cheating on both of us. Because when we had the initial discussion, it was only us three. So, once you talk to your partners and you kind of say, hey, this is the boundaries, this is what we approve, this is what we are accepting, this is not what we're accepting, and everybody comes to the same common ground, then at that point, for me, that's when cheating starts to happen. If we all had a conversation and say, hey, look, it's just us three is in this relationship, so you're cheating if you do XYZ, and you're cheating if you do XYZ, but you do it anyway because you want to quote unquote say you're Polly. That's not you being Polly. That's you being, what is it that my friend called it? A serial cheater. She called him a serial fucking cheater. And honestly, I can see it, because it was times that the other person, I almost said their name, oops. It was times that the other person would catch him doing what he had no business doing. And it would be times that I caught him and we both getting on his ass. Like, why the fuck you doing this? You got two of it. All of this. Because that's not what we agreed upon. That's not what we talked about. And it's just like everybody fucking emotions. Like everybody emotions that was in it. And don't get me wrong, like I said, it was some great times, but I honestly feel like sometimes those great times came when, like, okay, we're going to the fucking mall and we balling out type shit. Or them great times came when we fucking drunk or some shit. And technically when we get drunk, by the end of the night, somebody got into a fight with some fucking body, or all three of us got into a fight. Like, it just was very, very toxic. And so I say to say this, which by the end of the, because I'm pretty sure somebody's going to ask, like, what happened in the end. Pretty much the girl, she ended up moving out because she felt like it was better for her mental sake. And she felt like he wasn't giving her 100% of attention emotionally and physically. And I do feel like sometimes he did do that. She ended up moving out, but she wasn't trying to move out to break up. She felt like, maybe because she felt like every problem was towards her. And at one point it was, At one point it was. I couldn't talk to her because I felt like she took everything wrong that I said, when honestly it was like, either I'm trying to have a conversation with you or I'm making a statement. Like, you don't have to take it negatively all the time. Or, like I said, they always arguing every day. So she ended up moving out. And he took it as, you move out, we're done. Then me and him ended up moving together. And I found out, come to find out, I guess she was messing with somebody, and he got super hurt because it was the person that she was calling herself messing with while they was together. And see, shit like that, it's like the little stuff like that. It's like stuff like that was supposed to be resolved because that was things that y'all had to deal with when y'all was together a long time ago. So why is y'all bringing that up now? I don't know the details of that. However, I do know he was just so-called AKA hurt. And he said that we was going to be together, blah, blah, blah. It was just me and him. I'm a person that is very, 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 very big on communication. So I'm going to take what you say. And if you're sitting here lying to me, saying one thing, and I find out that you still messing with her, which is the funny part. I expected you to still mess with her. But the fact that you lied and told me that you wasn't, and that you wasn't going to, and I found out that you was, that's what pissed me off, okay? When you could have said something from the jump. However, we broke up, and honestly, that breakup was like a release off my shoulders. You hear me? Like a fucking release off my shoulders. And I don't know what was the best fucking feeling, but I don't know, like, it was just really weird because I really cared for him. And and sometimes it'd be like that. You care for a person, but when it's time to let go, it's time to let go, And like I say, I wish him nothing but the best. I wish her nothing but the best. I don't speak negative on anybody or anything of what they got going on. However, I moved up out of there, got my new place, new car, and everything like that. And I did me, and I continue to do me. Like, since the breakup, I had started up this podcast, Sage Sunday, hey, what's good, I had started up my merch, which website's coming soon, so y'all can buy y'all shit online. Let y'all in on a teaser. However, it's so many positive things that came from a negative situation that I also learned my lessons from. So with that being said, I think monogamy is for me, and monogamy is just a couple, just me and whoever I'm talking to. Because I tried it twice and they both ended wrong. So clearly the heavens are telling me, China, this ain't for you. Okay. So, I tried it twice and I'm good with it. Like I said, to each his own. Y'all can have it. Cause like I said, for me, worrying about two people instead of one, that shit stressed me the fuck out. Okay. It stressed me out because I'm like super creative. I'm super spontaneous. I'm like the most. I am the extraest Virgo there is. So the fact that I had to do that times two, it's like, ooh. But then also, like I said, their problems that they never healed from or dealt with, that came into play so much, 90% of that fucking relationship. And, like, that made it hard too, because then you have to sit here and worry about, like, oh, I wonder if she gonna take it wrong, or I wonder if he gonna think this and that and the third. It was just too much. Too fucking much, okay? So, like I said, monogamous is definitely for me. So, whoever my new boo is, you know, that's who my new boo is, and that's that. No third, no nothing, okay? But yeah, so that's how that went, and that is what it is. And, you know, like I said, if you're a poly person and you're just now starting out to be a poly person, please do your research. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy. I'm not saying that it's going to be a easy slope or whatever, but please read up on this. You know, there's it's like a poly page about black people, a black poly page on Instagram. And they take different trips. You meet different poly people. Talk to somebody with experience who's actually married, and you see both of their wives or both of their husbands or whoever, you know? Like, talk to people with experience. Do your research before you jumping in. And remember, it's not only about a sexual contact, okay? It's not only about a sexual contact. If you're trying to be polyamorous or polygamy or all the other different polys, then that's something you and your partner need to talk about. If that's something y'all considering. 1, 2, if you're considering it and it's just you yourself, I would suggest to go try to find people, like actually find poly events that they have, which it is a real thing. They host events where people who are poly go to them and you can find people there. And the only reason why I say do it that way, because honestly, majority of the world is, I'm not going to say majority, because now the world, it has so many different things out there. But you will most likely find people who are on the same level as you or trying to be on the same level as you out there than you would in the inner circle, if that makes sense. So I'm not saying you can't find them. You won't know until you have a conversation with a person. However, but I'm pretty sure you will come across more monogamous than anything. Okay? So, like I said, I just really had to talk about it. I have a lot of juicy topics coming up next after this for all the other episodes. So thank you for tuning in for Sage Sunday. I really love and appreciate you guys. You know, the ones who actually are listening to every episode. You guys are freaking dope. I love the freaking support. Like I said, stay tuned. A website will be dropping soon. Not giving no more details than that. But yes, this is episode 7. And so hopefully all your questions are answered about this. Because like I said, I have so many people asking me questions about it. Like, oh, how is it? And how was it? And so I'm like, you know what? That's going to be a topic for one of my podcasts. So hopefully this answered everything to your questions. And with that, I say peace and blessings, kings and queens. And have a great, lovely night.